So good day everyone. I am Carl Jason Shera here to discuss all about personality disorders. So this is part 1 out of my 4 recorded video and I hope you'll listen and learn as much all throughout my report. But before that, here is the topic outline for the whole duration of this report. In this part, I will be discussing all about what is personality disorder and introduce the clusters of disorders. I will going also to discuss the general personality disorder, while in the part 2, it will be focused on cluster A with paranoid, schizoid, and schizotypal personality disorder. In the part 3, it will be focused on cluster B with antisocial, borderline, histrionic, narcissistic personality disorders. And on the last part, the part 4, will be focused on cluster C, the avoidant personality disorder, dependent personality disorder, and the obsessive compulsive personality disorder. And we'll also touch topics with other personality disorder, focusing on other specified and the unspecified personality disorder. So here is the intended learning outcomes for this report. At the end of the discussion, students are able to understand what is personality disorder and differentiate the types of personality disorder. So to start, before we delve in defining what is personality disorder, we should know first what is personality or a personality trait. So personality is all the ways we have of acting, thinking, believing, and feeling that make each of us unique, while a personality trait is a complex pattern of behavior, thought, and feeling that is stable across time and across many situations. So people vary greatly in their personalities. There are people that have personalities that are very appealing to others and lead them to have many strong and positive social relationships. They may be gregarious and outgoing, caring and compassionate, or humorous and witty. There are also other people that have personalities that interfere with their social functioning. They may be shy and withdrawn, exploitative or critical, or hostile and dull. There are also some people that have personalities that make them high achieving. They may be disciplined and goal oriented, have good leadership skills, and be able to handle stress. While there are also some or other people that have personalities that interfere with their achievement. These people may be impulsive, unstable, or unreliable, or so perfectionist that they never get anything done. The bottom line here is that personality varies greatly person to person. So, personality traits are enduring patterns of perceiving, relating to, and thinking about the environment and oneself that are exhibited in a wide range of social and personal contexts. Only when personal traits are inflexible and maladaptive and cause significant functional impairment or subjective distress do they constitute personality disorders. Speaking of personality disorders, moving on, let us define what is personality disorder. So, personality disorders have four defining features, which include distorted thinking patterns, problematic emotional responses, over or under regulated impulse control, and interpersonal difficulties. While these four core features are universal among all 10 personality disorders, the DSM-5 divides the personality disorders into three different clusters based on symptom similarities. So we will delve on that further later. To continue, The features of a personality disorder usually become recognizable during adolescence or early adult life. By definition, a personality disorder is an enduring pattern of thinking, feeling, and behaving that is relatively stable over time. Some types of personality disorder, like the antisocial and borderline personality disorders, tend to become less evident or to remit with age. Whereas this appears to be less true for some other types, like the obsessive compulsive and the schizotypal personality disorders. So, personality disorder categories may be applied with children or adolescents in those relatively unusual instances in which the individual's particular maladaptive personality traits appear to be pervasive, persistent, and unlikely to be limited to a particular developmental stage or attributable to another mental disorder. So it should be recognized that the traits of a personality disorder that appear in childhood will often not persist unchanged into adult life. So for a personality disorder to be diagnosed in an individual younger than 18 years, the features must have been present for at least a year. The one exception here is the antisocial personality disorder, which cannot be diagnosed in individuals younger than 18 years. Although by definition a personality disorder requires an onset no later than early adulthood, individuals may not come to clinical attention until relatively late in life. A personality disorder may be exacerbated following the loss of significant supporting persons or previously stabilizing social situations. But remember, although personality disorders are generally considered to be stable, at least from adolescence into adulthood, this graph, as you can see in the slide, shows that research suggests that this disorder, the schizotypal, borderline, avoidant, and the obsessive compulsive personality disorders, are not as enduring as previously thought. Rather, symptoms can improve over time for some people. Nevertheless, these disorders are typically among the most resistant to treatment. So, your personality affects your daily life constantly. It determines how you perceive the events of your day, how you feel, and how you interact with others. A core aspect of your personality is your sense of self. In the slide, as you can see, it shows the personality disorders along the continuum at nahati siya within the functional side and the dysfunctional side. On the functional end of the continuum or in the left part, if you are facing the slide or if you are facing the PPT, are people who have a sense of themselves that is coherent and relatively stable and is distinct from their views of others. They have a sense of meaning and purpose in their life and the ability to pursue personally important goals. So, as you read there, these are the functional people. Another Another core aspect of personality is the way we relate to others. People with adaptive personalities can empathize and cooperate with others, can be intimate with others appropriately, and appreciate the uniqueness of the different people in their life. While on the dysfunctional side, on the right side of the slide, some people have difficulty in their sense of self and their relationships to others. Their identity may be too susceptible to social pressure, as when a teenager succumbs to peer pressure and engages in illegal behavior, they may wander through life without goals or purpose. They may find it difficult to care about others or to maintain healthy relationships, When an individual fails to develop a sense of self-identity and the capacity for interpersonal functioning that are adaptive in the individual's relationships, he or she may be diagnosed with a personality disorder. Now, DSM-5-TR lists 10 personality disorders. This disorders is divided into 3 clusters, and each cluster of personality disorders shares a common feature. For cluster A, these are personality disorders that are characterized by odd or eccentric behaviors that have elements related to those of schizophrenia. While in the cluster B, personality disorders, these are characterized by emotional, dramatic, or erratic behaviors that involve problems with emotional regulations. And in the cluster C, personality disorders that are characterized by fearful and anxious behavior. So going back to cluster A, we have the paranoid personality disorder. This is characterized by mistrust and suspicion of others. The schizoid personality disorder, which is characterized by few close relationships and a limited range of emotional expression. The schizotypal personality disorder, that is characterized by few close relationships and eccentric perceptions, thoughts, and behaviors. While in the cluster B, we have the antisocial personality disorder that is characterized by repeated violation or disregard for the rights of others. The borderline personality disorders that is characterized by rapidly changing emotions, unstable relationships, and impulsivity. The histrionic personality disorder that is characterized by exaggerated emotions and excessive attention seeking behaviors, and the narcissistic personality disorder that is characterized by an excessive sense of self importance and difficulty appreciating other people's perspective. And in the cluster C, we have the avoidant personality disorder that is characterized by a heightened sensitivity to rejection and social inhibition. The dependent personality disorder that is characterized by submissive, clingy behavior intended to elicit care from others, along with dependence on others for decision making and the reassurance, and the obsessive compulsive personality disorder that is characterized by orderliness, perfectionism, and control at the expense of spontaneity and flexibility. Here, this is the DSM-5-TR general diagnostic criteria for a personality disorder. This is for GPD, or the general personality disorder. So criterion A shows that the essential feature of a personality disorder is an enduring pattern of inner experience and behavior that deviates markedly from the norms and expectation of the individual's culture and is manifested in at least two of the following areas. Again, the pattern is manifested in two or more of the following areas. These following areas is the cognition, the affectivity, interpersonal functioning, and impulse control. For the criterion B, it shows that this enduring pattern is inflexible and pervasive across a broad range of personal and social situations, while in criterion C, it shows that the enduring pattern leads to clinically significant distress or impairment in social, occupational, or other important areas of functioning. For criterion D, the pattern is stable and long duration, and its onset can be traced back at least to adolescence or early adulthood. For criterion E, the pattern is not better explained as a manifestation or consequences of another mental disorder. And lastly, for criterion F, it is not attributable to the physiological effects of or a substance or another medical condition. Next, here is a shortened or just an overview of the facts all about personality disorders. I will not further discuss this, but it includes the prevalence, the comorbidity, the onset, the course, and the gender differences, where at one glance you can have an idea about the specific part. The other personality disorders also has this, so that when you open and browse my PPT, you could automatically go to this part and know about the disorder. So moving on, I found a good reference that has a diagram or illustration that summarizes the factors affecting, or should I say influencing, or cause the personality disorder. So neurological, psychological, and social factors create feedback loops with each other, as you can see in the slides. As with other like with other kinds of psychological disorders, no one factor reigns supreme as the underlying basis of personality disorders. People must have several adverse factors, whether neurological, psychological, or social, to develop a personality disorder, and social adversity will have the biggest effect on those who are neurologically vulnerable. So, the most influential neurological factor associated with personality disorder is genes. Two psychological factors significantly contribute to personality disorders are temperament and operant conditioning. And another factor that influences whether a person will develop a personality disorder is attachment style. The child's emotional bond and way of interacting with and thinking about his or her primary caretaker. Moving on, these are treatments for personality disorders. The target neurological factors, the psychological factors, and the social factors. For the neurological factors, treatments include antipsychotics, antidepressants, mood stabilizers, or other medications. However, such medications are only effective for comorbid in the axis 1 symptoms and not very helpful for symptoms of personality disorders per se. That is according to Paris 2008. Nevertheless, some of these medications may provide temporary relief of some symptoms. While in the psychological factors, both cognitive behavior therapy or the CBT and psychodynamic therapy have been used to treat personality disorders. Both therapies focus on core issues that are theorized to give rise to the disorders. They differ in terms of the specific nature of the inferred core issues. Psychodynamic therapy addresses unconscious drives and motivations, whereas the CBT addresses maladaptive views of self and others and that negative beliefs that give rise to the problematic feelings, thoughts, and behaviors of the personality disorder. While for social factors, it stressed the importance of relationship, and it also stressed to provide forum for family members to learn about the patient's personality disorders, and focused on interpersonal or group therapy that can highlight and address the maladaptive ways. So that ends the first part of this report. Here is my references. Thank you for listening, and move on to the next part or the next video for this